Yeah, the magicians behind the curtains. They know that human consciousness co-creates reality based on what the mind believes to be true and real. This process is amplified when instilled in the collective consciousness of the masses. They are projecting what they want into your minds so that you build it for them. Yeah, that's what I've been talking about a lot. And a lot of stuff I've just been realizing over the last few years is how propaganda and how the stuff on the television, how it actually basically puts you into a trance state and then basically programs you. And it's unbelievable. I was meditating today. I meditated an hour and a half today, which is really short for me. But the other day it was 3 hours. It's between 1.5 and 3 hours every day. And every day I realize all kinds of stuff that's in my head that was programmed. And it actually really, it's tons, it's thousands or millions of things. It seems to never end. And that's really a lot of what meditation is for me, is getting that stuff out, because it just pops up as you sit there in silence and you just watch it and you're like, where did that come from? It's like, oh, like, why did I think that? And whatever you believe actually creates reality. And I know it might be hard for some people to believe, but it really does. And how it does is tricky to explain. But, you know, you can think of it as like, you could have a guy, two people in the same city, very similar lives, and one guy is super depressed and wants to kill himself, and the other guy is happy as can be. And the only difference is the programming in their own heads. So, depending on your programming, you will create what you want to create. So those two guys who live in the same city, one guy thinks it's hell, one guy thinks it's heaven. It's all just because of their own mind. So both of them are creating their own reality from the same situation. And that's just part of it. It's actually way deeper than that. You actually have created this entire game. I know it's hard to believe. But they'll never tell you that, of course. The only way, and actually even me telling you that, if you don't believe that, then it's not true, right? Only if you can really see it and feel it will you believe it. And that's really what meditation's all about. And that's why they want to just keep you totally with the breads and circuses. Football, beer, and above all, gambling filled up the horizons of their minds. To keep them in control was not difficult. George Orwell, 1984. And really, you only have a certain amount of time in this vessel, in this character, in the video game. And if you waste most of it doing just sort of like things that don't really affect anything really, like watching football or something. And don't get me wrong, I like watching hockey, I still do. But I definitely don't let it become a major part of my life or focus or take a ton of my time away. I just, if I have a few hours and it's like, okay, I think I'll watch this. But that's what a lot of those things are for, really, is to keep people from actually doing the real work and actually realizing who they really are. Terence McKenna said, reclaim your mind and get it out of the hands of the cultural engineers who want to turn you into a half-baked moron consuming all this trash that's being manufactured out of the bones of a dying world. Terence McKenna talked a lot about entheogens, or whatever you want to call them, psychedelics. He did a lot of, like, all the stuff from what I could tell, mushrooms, everything. I've done almost all of them myself, and I will say there's definitely a purpose or a role for them. And the main one is for people who we're in Kali Yuga, so people, like, we didn't used to be like this, I don't think. I think thousands or tens of thousands of years ago or whatever, like, time really actually doesn't exist. We're all just in a video game. But in this video game, a long time ago, I think humans were super connected to the creator of the game and super connected with nature and all that kind of stuff. And that's the exact opposite of what most people are now in the West. At most, people will just take a few hours on their weekend after working all week to go walk basically on the concrete in a park. Yeah, well, I like it. But yeah, I wouldn't mind being out here all day. I can't wait till the ranch is done. I'll be basically outside all day, just in the trees and the flowers. Yeah, that's the goal, Lucy. But people have been so degraded that they're almost completely unconnected now. And that's why the world's looking so insane. Like, people are just completely disconnected. And I think because of that, so many people just cannot even, like, I hear from so many people, like when I mention meditation, a lot of people say, and I totally understand, this used to be me like 6 years ago. They'll say, I can't even sit there for 1 minute. My mind goes crazy. It's like, that's why you need to meditate, because your mind is basically going crazy, and your mind is insane. And if you let it run things, your life's going to turn into shit. And actually, when most people in society all are running on their minds, and that's what people like Elon Musk and all these people are doing. You ever hear about them talk about meditating? No. He's like just going like all the time, just how do I control power and control everything? That's the mind. And so many people are just stuck in their mind, and they actually don't even know what I'm talking about when I say you should get out of their mind. They're like, what do you mean? Like, that's all there is, isn't there? It's like, no. The mind actually is false. It's not even real. And that's what you get to in meditation. But with the psychedelics and stuff like that, that can, for someone who can't, they just can't do it, right? That, you know, was basically me. Like 6 years ago, I started off with ayahuasca, and it was tough, but very, very helpful. It snapped me out of it for a while and actually let me see reality. Because your mind otherwise will create a reality which isn't real. And I actually ended up doing a boga, which was insane. It's 2 full days. It was the craziest thing I've ever done. But after that, for like a month, all my depression was gone. All of a sudden, everything looked beautiful. Before that, everything looked gray and depressing. I just wanted basically to kill myself. And so those things can really help. So that's what Terence McKenna talked a lot about. Now, if you can do a lot of those things without psychedelics and just meditate, that's probably the best in my opinion, and the easiest, because those psychedelics can be really tough. Although I hear some people have a great time on them. I guess, I don't know, but I've never had a great time on psychedelics. The closest is DMT. I actually didn't have a bad time, but it's pretty intense, especially if you're used to living in your mind.